Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Circle of the Earth Fellowship. Thank you for all being with us tonight. See quite a bit of faces there in the chat. Welcome, everybody. We got Ark Earns, we got Justin Credible, Marsha, Robert, Kyle, Wendy. Thank you all for being here. We got a fun episode for you tonight. We are going to be talking about mythical creatures. So that kind of sounds... Oh, what's my computer done? Sorry, everyone. Whoa. Yeah, my stuff's lagging out. I don't know if y'all are getting lag out from me or what. This is going on. Sorry, everyone. Try to fix this. It's going crazy. I think it's coming back. Why? Why am I getting such problems right now? Okay, there it goes. Oh my gosh. Let's see if we can get it out of this. It's kind of giving me some issues. Sorry about that, everyone. For whatever reason, yeah, there we go. Finally. It was like so laggy on my screen. I apologize for that. Anyways, back to what I was saying. So this episode, we're talking about mythical creatures, and you might be like, wait, didn't we just talk about this? Well, kind of. We talked about mythological creatures, and I kind of set the premise that was creatures we were talking about pre-flood. So things that were around and being created during pre-flood. And we dabbled a little bit into post-flood of kind of like tales of different peoples and you know, thousands-year-old tales of tribes and different peoples and their what they saw as, you know, or what they had as in their culture of these creatures. And so we're bringing it a little closer to home in this episode. We'll be talking about things like Bigfoot and Loch Ness and skinwalkers and wendigos, creatures that people are claiming to see now, not in the past, not in the future, but things that people are experiencing or at least talking about now. And they're definitely, you know, there's a lot of stories out there about these creatures and similar ones to them. So it really makes you think, what are these creatures? What are they, and where are they coming from? And so, of course, we'll get into that and a lot more. But before we do that, let's go ahead and say hello to everybody on the panel, and then we'll get into it. And since Frankie B has his camera on, we can see his handsome, sweet face. We'll go ahead and let him say hello first. Welcome, Frankie B.
Hi, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I hope you had a great day. Hope everybody stayed cool in the heat wave. I know most of the country has a heat wave. We were almost up to 100 today, so just chilling in the air, getting ready to talk about some crazy creatures.
Yeah, you know, they are crazy creatures, and I don't know. I guess we'll get into it more, but it's so interesting to me that it's like, I look at some of this stuff, and just honestly from my side, I'm like, this stuff is fake. I've never seen a Bigfoot. I've never seen these creatures, but it's so prevalent in the world of all these different creatures and sightings of them. And it really makes me pause and be like, well, why are all these people seeing this? And of course, we've talked about unclean spirits and angels and their manifestations and things that they can do, and maybe that's some of it, but maybe there's a little bit more. But let's keep trucking. We'll jump over to our sister Marsha. Welcome, sister. Good to see you.
Good to see everybody. And I literally, I don't know him as well as my son does, and it's that they seriously have been. He's a serious Sasquatch. Look, he hunts for him.
Mm-hmm.
He hunts for him. You don't do that kind of dedication of something. And I don't know. I think he saw something at one time, and he has literally, he's Sasquatch nuts for years.
Oh yeah.
So,
And it's a big thing in the, just in the world. Like you can easily go to Craigslist and find people that want to do hunting for Sasquatch or for chupacabra or for ghosts, or like there's so much of that kind of. And I think it's interesting that it's kind of like parallel almost with the paranormal people in the ways that they do it, and they're kind of it's interesting. So yeah, it's going to be a fun topic for sure. Let's jump over to Robert. How are you doing, brother? Shabbat shalom.
Oh, I'm doing just fine. Thank you. How's everybody out there? Frankie, 100, 95 here, but hey, but you know what? I don't know, nice breeze. The chemtrails kept a nice little haze over there, so the sun wasn't beating down on me. I appreciate that. So yeah.
Yeah, we can't blame the grabblers just for the bad weather. We got to think of for the good weather too.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, welcome, brother. Sweet. Let's jump over to Kyle. Good to see you, man. I hope you're doing well. Shabbat shalom.
Shalom Shabbat, brother. It's good to be here. It's good to talk about the continuation of what we were discussing before. It's just the modern day version of what we're dealing with, which seems just as wild and crazy as the days of Noah.
Oh yeah.
Looking forward to talking to it.
Yeah, it certainly is, right? Because a lot of these creatures, some of the powers and the things that they're doing are supernatural, otherworldly, right? And we are kind of talking about before with the giants, and then we move to mythical creatures. Like, wait, are we talking about some type of vassal for these unclean spirits? And then, popped up today, we have all of these tales of all of these different things running around. So yeah, it all ties in together as we've been showing. So sweet. Okay, let's do a little housekeeping real quick, and we will get into the show. So let me pull this up.
yeah, someone says you got a sun sim. I don't know whether they said it about you, Frankie, but you got a sun simulator up behind your head.
Be his little halo.
Take that halo off.
I'm just a little angel. That's all.
Frankie's a little angel.
Okay, let's pull this up. Sweet. Okay, like I always like to do, first and foremost, shout out to Chris and Liz Bailey over on Take on the World. They allow us to come onto their platform, share our pieces of our, the pieces of the puzzle that we've received with their family, and so we always want to show gratitude to them. They have tons and tons of videos, great, a whole bunch of different creators. Check it out. They even have their virtual conferences, which are amazing if you haven't seen them. So definitely go show them some love if you haven't already. And if you don't know, we have our channel, Circle of the Earth Fellowship. Now, something I also want to kind of add here before we go on is we're also on Lighthouse. So if you go to Lighthouse and search Circle of the Earth Fellowship, you can find the channel and support us there. Real quick, I'll be back to that. So we are also live streaming there, so go definitely check out Lighthouse if you haven't. But like we always like to do, we read the comments from the last video. There isn't very many comments, so this won't take long. But thank you as always, Moonglow, for coming in and giving a thank you. That really does help the channel. Something simple like that takes 5 seconds of your time. It does help. And kind of a little self-service here. Comments, shares, likes, and subscribing really helps the channel grow, which means we find more like-minded people that want to share their pieces of the puzzle and who are humble enough to look at other pieces of look at the pieces of the puzzle from others' perspectives and still walk in that brotherly and sisterly love. So thank you for all the support there. More so, thank you for the support on Lighthouse. Tracy Jones, Marsha, as well as Kyle, all are supporting the channel with $5 a month. That's really awesome. It helps me kind of supplement some of the bills that I pay for doing this live stream, so I really do appreciate it. If you're interested in do that, again, check out Lighthouse, create a profile, and come over to Better, because it really is better. Now, It is in beta, so please, show some grace when it comes to some things. Definitely as a creator and as a user, but it is getting better each and every day. I've seen, like, just in the live stream chat, I saw a huge improvement over 1 week to the next, where you could actually see. You didn't have to refresh it. So just be patient, guys. It's getting better every day. If you're interested in joining this panel or other panels, other CEF panels, check out Discord. We also do an after show after the episodes. If you want to have a little bit more uncensored conversation, go check that out. The link is in the description. And then lastly, if you're interested, another way to support the channel is if you want some merch. You get something out of it, as well as you support the channel. And like you see, Marcia, it's good merch. It's nice and comfortable. We got Robert's hat there.
Yes, it is.
So it's high quality, guys. It's not cheapo stuff. And so you get something nice, and you get to support the channel. All right, last few things. I'll just go through them really quick. Bible Gateway, Bible Hub, amazing resources. They got the lexicon cons, the concordances, all the different versions. Definitely check those out. Don't just be stuck in your mind that you got to read just one version, and you don't look into the strong concordances and break down the words. All of that is super important in our walk. So check it out. And then lastly, we got sacredtext.com. They have the Apocrypha there, which are books that were taken out by a lot of grabblers. So now, I don't back everything, but I do definitely back the Book of Enoch, the Book of Jubilees, as well as the Testament of 12 Patriarchs, which we read in our Peace Seeker series, where it's just a quick reading of each chapter of each testament. We're now back into the book, or we're going through the Book of Enoch. And so if you're interested in that, check that out Sundays. Okay, sweet. That is all the housekeeping I need to do. Let's get rid of that. And kind of read this. And we will get into the discussion. Okay, sweet. So, from Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and Yeti to the Loch Ness Monster, the Lagarfljót Worm, and the Ogopogo, stories and people can be found who claim these creatures and similar ones from all of the different nations of the world do indeed exist, and interactions and sightings often occur. In recent times, an influx of people interested in acquiring proof of the existence of such creatures has brought this topic back in the forefront of popular culture, backed by modern technology. Why has there been a resurgence of this topic within culture? And if they do exist, what do you think they are? Join us as we discuss the topic of mythical creatures and the implications for our and future generations' lives from the perspective of believers seeking the puzzle pieces of truth. So I kind of laid the groundwork there, and something I kind of want to specifically point about what I wrote there for the description is how we have these similar things across the world, right? So we have Sasquatch, but there's also Bigfoot, right? But there's also Yeti. These are all very similar creatures, often referred to as the same thing, but these are being seen in different parts of the world. Just like we have the Lagarfljót Worm and the Ogopogo. These are all like serpent-like sea creatures that live within different areas of the world. And so now, of course, it gets a little bit more specific when it comes to each location and the look. But so I'm going to pose a question to y'all. What do y'all think these are? And even if we spoil it, we can kind of backward engineer kind of our thoughts. But what are y'all's, like, I'm going to go through each of y'all. What's y'all's, like, general thoughts about when you heard about Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster, and kind of how you thought about those things when you kind of learned of them, and what you kind of think they are if you do believe in them now. So let's jump over to you, Marshall. What's your thoughts?
Actually, when I heard about Bigfoot, I thought, wow, I saw the hoaxy one, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But then that was years ago, and I thought, wow, really? and then I heard it was, debunked, and then I went on I started. That wasn't even my waking up time. When I started to wake up, I heard more about MK Ultra and all these government things, and where they actually produced some of it, like a Bigfoot. And so I really started believing in it. And then when my my son, says, "Oh yeah, so and so, who he that's what he's done for 20 years. He hunts Sasquatch," and I thought, so I did believe, didn't believe, believed again, and now, as I know about the days of Noah and all like that, I probably really do believe this.
Yeah, and so
really believe it.
I think you hit a whole bunch of topics right there, because there's like this kind of belief unbelief thing with this specific topic. And it's interesting to me because we got that like first, Sasquatch in the woods, and the look back, right? And to me, as like when I first viewed that, I was like, this is obviously fake. This looks like nothing that's real. There's nothing could possibly be like this. And I still even have a tinge of this, because in that description I said, well, with modern technology, right? And so what I kind of mean by that is, like, we're talking about drones with heat, heat sensing, right? They don't need to just put one drone out. They could get in a position and put dozens of drones out all into an area very quickly. And you could really systematically search these things out. Now, what am I saying? Because so you're saying you don't believe in them? Well, it's like, why is there so much push? Like, why is there so many, testimonies of people seeing these, and otherworldly creatures, one, and two, it's really interesting because I'm going to make this parallel again, is a lot of the times when people are like out there looking for Sasquatch or Bigfoot, right? If you've watched any of those videos, interesting enough, they get like creepy, like, oh, something's watching us. Something's like, something's like observing us. But isn't like that exact same thing happens when they go search for ghosts? So for the longest time, I was really like, are these things physical? Are these like Nephilim, or are these straight up spiritual? And we'll get into that more, but let's jump over to Robert. What are your kind of thoughts about it, brother?
Yes, Robert. What are your thoughts?
So, as far as Loch Ness and other sea creatures, I've always thought there's some basis of reality to them. They have fished out of the oceans prehistoric, long since non-existent creatures out of the oceans that survive deep in there, that are plenty of areas for them to hide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you get something that's, like Loch Ness or that snake.
Yeah.
Certainly it's got plenty of places to hide, and it didn't get big by hanging around and being caught. So, so as far as that, the sea creatures, I think there's definitely could be some of those. The Bigfoot and Sasquatch, I don't know.
I don't know.
But I sometimes think of them as being some type of demonic thing coming in and out of our dimension, or
Yeah, that could be too, but it's something. It's
something watching over us or whatever. I don't know, but the doggone, they always find the worst camera as possible to get a quick little snap of these things. Come on, it's just like that creature they took a picture of recently that was supposed to be this 10-20 foot alien stick thing, and they didn't get a good visual of it either. So
here's what's kind of weird, right? When there is photography or like images, whatever it is, of creatures, we're like, oh, that looks fake, right? Like, oh, we don't believe that. But then when it's just like a quick glimpse of it, we're like, oh, yeah, how convenient. You barely got a photo of it, you know? And with like the technology these days, like, of course, there is kind of a reason to be suspicious of these videos because we've seen fakes, right? But then it's like, are they doing that to kind of weasel their way in to be like, oh, this is just fake, this is just made up? So I really do battle that dilemma when it comes to taking that
Well,
evidence as legitimate either
Did you
way.
see the video of the
yeah.
Bigfoot from the train?
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was in the woods, and the people were filming him. They were on a train, and he just ducked down, tried to go. They thought he was taking a dump,
Those were
but
all Bigfoot hunters too. Those are
I
that
seen a
group.
couple different. I've
What?
seen a couple different videos from the train. Like several people had videoed it, and it was like walking across, and they're riding on a train going through
Yeah, and
the
the
woods.
train's going to come by at
Colorado.
7:15, so jump in out of the
Yeah,
out of the
somewhere in
woods.
Colorado, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, and to me, a
Supposedly that
lot.
was by a group of Bigfoot hunters. Yeah, of course they would say that though if it really wasn't.
I know somebody who was a Bigfoot hunter, or my son does. It's just really weird that someone would actually, and he's
Serious.
his
It's
darn
not, yeah.
rights they're real. In fact, it wasn't that he's probably seen one. I think he heard these unworldly sounds. Put it that way too.
Yeah, yeah, there's so many accounts of them. It really is hard to kind of make sense of it. But sweet, let's jump over to Kyle. Kyle, what's your thoughts about this topic, brother?
Yeah, I thought Bigfoot was BS until I read Enoch, and then I got a new perspective of what all the weird, crazy creatures that I thought people were just making up happened to actually be founded in some form of reality. And Bigfoot definitely fits the profile easily, yeah. So, I mean, him and all the other creatures, I tend to actually believe they either do exist or very easily could exist.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely, and definitely with, you know, as it was in the days of Noah. You know, we got
That's
that
right.
we
That
got
too.
that line right, and we saw what it was like in the days of Noah. We talked about it last stream, right? Well, all the crazy creatures and the things. And so, yeah, and that's where, you know, that's what I was kind of saying. I have this dilemma where it's like, well, I know these creatures, these types of creatures, these supernatural creatures, they lived before the flood and seemingly after the flood, and we have all these accounts of them now. And so it would be easy to be like, oh, I saw that one Bigfoot, you know, Sasquatch video, and so I'm just gonna get rid of it all, throwing out the baby with the bathwater. But I think there's a lot of gravy there, and we're gonna be looking at stuff at the end of the stream to kind of finish out the stream that will bring this a lot closer to home, make it more real. But
Well, even the hieroglyphs, is that what they're
Yeah.
called? You know, the bird headed, the dog head, the what?
mhm.
I mean, they depicted these things. The senators, they existed.
Yeah, no, exactly, and as we said before, right? You have these creatures all across the world, right? It's not just in Egypt; it's in Greece, it's in, you know, Syria. It's like literally spread out. It's in Native American cultures. It's in African cultures. It's literally everywhere, and so I think that's an important point to kind of point out because the Bigfoot, the Sasquatch, the Chupacabra, etc. They're also everywhere, right? There's accounts of it everywhere. So
Mhm.
let's jump to Frankie B. Give us your thoughts, brother, and then we'll start sharing some clips and stuff.
Well, you know, it's not just Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster. There's mermaids. There's the gray aliens. There's the lizard people. I mean, there's so many things in this realm we don't really know about. There's supposedly a whole underground civilization. I mean, and we found tunnels. There's tunnels all through Europe. We really don't know what is going on. We can't say what really is fact and what is fiction. And They could be interdimensional beings, like Robert brought up. The Bigfoot thing, I think that might be some type of species that
Just
they
like
said
a
Enoch.
primate.
They said Esau was hairy. It could be descendants of Esau.
Oh, we were
The
just
hairy. I'm just
Harry
throwing
and the
that out.
Hendersons. Remember that?
Yeah, the Harry and the Hendersons. Yeah. Hey, if it's on TV, it's got to be real, right?
It's
They
gotta
make a
be.
movie about it, right?
Uh-huh.
Nah, but there's a whole. I mean, and we talked about the mermaids. They could have lived through the flood. Some of the underwater creatures could have definitely lived through the flood.
Oh,
The
bro,
prehistoric ones.
and we
You
were
know what I
kind of,
mean?
yeah, and no, we were talking right a few chapters ago about the giant trees, right? And we were
Right.
showing like the root systems. Okay, let's say they're not even giant trees. The cave systems of this world, guys, are so big and so vast. They are like, we think
Yeah.
our oceans are unexplored. Like, our very land underneath our feet is barely explored.
And then we have Antarctica, the land beyond that, and then we have the North Pole, which
Pole.
no one goes to.
Yeah.
We don't know. We really don't know what is going. And they're hiding so many things from us. We really don't know.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
another point to bring up real quick is something that Robert brought up was that we've, like, they said, oh, this fish, it lived millions of years ago, and then they find it, right? They've done that a whole bunch of time. They're like, just recently I saw something about an eagle that they thought was extinct for 500 years. All of a sudden they found more of those eagles. And so even that part, yeah, looking at it from a more of a natural side, maybe these aren't, just demonic unclean spirits or, hybrids or whatever. Maybe some of these are also regular, creatures that existed, but they're very smart. They're very elusive. I think that's not without the realm of possibility.
Yeah, there's part of the anaconda that we can't even go into because it's so deep and so dangerous. You know what I mean? And we don't. And they're discovering all new species of creatures all the time. Not like
Yeah,
creatures,
discovering or
yeah.
creating.
What? Yeah,
I've
either
thought
one.
about that too.
But
Yeah.
what is the jungle over in Africa? It's the anaconda. Is that what it's called?
In where?
Well,
I think it's in Africa. The one
Are you talking
the
about
deep,
the Amazon?
yeah, the Amazon. There's
That's
so
in
many.
South America.
It's so deep we can't even go all the way in it. And there's been dinosaur sightings there, or I wouldn't say dinosaurs, but like some type of reptile creatures that are huge. You know what I mean? And there's actually a myth that pterodactyls are still around.
Yeah, there's
yeah, blue herring. That's what looks. Have you ever seen a blue herring? I tell you.
And these giant bats they're finding all the time. They keep finding these extra large bats. I mean, like huge size of people.
And yeah, and so that's kind of the thing, right? So are these real creatures? Are these genetic hybrids? Are these, interdimensional beings?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many different kind of aspects you could totally look at this from. So yeah, super interesting topic. Let's start getting into some of the things we are going to share. We're going to start off with this. We're not going to watch the whole thing. But I think it's kind of, I'm not really into the whole Judeo part of it. You know what I mean? But
you mean chew the meat, spit out the bones type stuff?
Exactly. But let's check this out. So the question, the narrative, mythical creatures of the Bible and Judeo-Christian traditions.
Hi everyone, I'm Shelly and you're watching There's No Place Like Home. I'm back with another Question the Narrative video today, and today's topic is mythical creatures of the Bible and Judeo-Christian tradition. I did a video on the Nari Pond, something that I speculated to be either dryads or nymphs a couple of weeks ago, and someone in the comments asked me if I had any references to verses in the Bible that are referring to these mythical hybrids or these mythical creatures. And someone in the comments actually left a fantastic reference for some of these creatures. So I thought that I would go over some of these with you today and a few others that I also found either in the Bible or, like I said, in Judeo-Christian tradition, because sometimes there are things that you will find in these extra biblical texts or sometimes in Christian iconography that you will not specifically see in the Bible, but that I still thought was relevant to the video. So this comment says, Satyr is mentioned in Isaiah 34, verse 14, KJV. Other interesting examples are dragons, and there are 2 Isaiah verses there. The cockatrice, which is also in Isaiah in 2 different places. Men with lion-like features, or some people call them lion heads, in 2 Samuel 23:20 and 1 Chronicles. And he says, truth is stranger than fiction. So since he started with satyr, let's go there first. And I have done a video on satyrs before, so I'm not going to delve really deeply into any of these specific creatures. We'll just touch on them. And if anyone has, any really deep interest in any of these videos, just leave a comment and maybe I will make a future video where I'm focusing maybe on just 1 or 2 of these specific beings. So I checked out Isaiah 34:14, and one thing that you will notice is that many of the modern versions of the Bible will take out the names of these mythical creatures and they will replace them with more mundane animals. And I also want to point out that when I say mythical, I'm not necessarily saying fictional. I'm using mythical because that's what the secular world uses for these creatures, but I do believe that there is a very high possibility that even if they don't exist now anymore, that many of these creatures did at once exist, especially those that are specifically mentioned in the Bible.
I think that's a good point to kind of talk about real quick, because we called it mythological creatures. Now we're saying mythical creatures. And that myth kind of already implies that...
Yeah, I love Shelly. She's great. She's got a great channel. She does a lot of truther stuff. She does a lot of investigation. Anyone in the chat or our panel, look up her channel. She's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, but real quick, we kind of see that right within as she's describing, where when people are doing these versions, they will often change those words into something more along the the world views of these things. And so I think it's a really good point that... Sorry about that. Sorry about that, everyone. My dog started barking right next to my mic, so I bet that was pretty loud for y'all. But anyways,
it was a dog bark. That's all.
But back to what I was saying is like how there's this within the cultures and societies, there is this wanting for these creatures to exist, but then there's seemingly also all of this desire to debunk them. I kind of said that sloppy, but what I'm trying to really say is they really do want us to believe these are myths. These are all fantasy things. And we kind of talked about that with giants and, and evolution and mythical creatures. Like if things like this existed, it would throw out all the so-called science. And so, of course, there is a desire, there is a push, an agenda to kind of whitewash these things and make them the wild beasts instead of the demons and the monsters, right? And there's a reason for that. So, but let's keep chugging along.
So Isaiah 34:14, if you go in the King James Bible, it says, the wild beasts of the desert shall also meet with the wild beasts of the island, and the satyr shall cry to his fellow, the screech owl. also shall rest there and find for herself a place of rest. Now, if you just go over here, we'll go in the English Standard Version, you will see that it has changed out satyr for wild goat. And as I mentioned before, that's what happens in many of these modern versions. You will just see wild goat, and here wild goat, and down here in the Berean Study Bible, wild goat. Interestingly, though, if you look over here in the Old Testament translations, in the JPS Tanakh,
Did,
1917.
did someone want to say something? Or is that
I
just
think
me?
Robert was hot micing.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
It says, "And the wild cats shall meet with the jackals, and the satyr shall cry to his fellow. Yea, the night monster shall repose there, and shall find her a place of rest." And the Brenton Septuagint translation says, "And devils shall meet with satyrs, and they shall cry one to the other. There shall satyrs rest, having found for themselves a place of rest." And just checking out over here, we see just some more examples. Now, we still see wild goat. Here we have shaggy goat, wild goat. But down here in the English Revised Version, it again says satyr here. And also down here, actually, in the Webster's Bible translation, it says satyr. In the Geneva Bible of 1587, it also says satyr. So, what is a satyr? Well, one thing.
I want to stop real quick because I want to see this CHNICHEOL. I kind of want to look that up. Can I get that? It's kind of hard to see. Where can I type that? Okay, never mind. I'll just keep going.
Thing I will tell you is that a satyr is not just a goat. And I'm not going to read this entire thing about satyrs because they are some pretty nasty, lewd creatures. And I really don't even want to show many photos of them because of the nature of them. And you might be able to see that right in the picture here on Wikipedia. But satyrs are typically half man, and at first they were described as being half horse, but then eventually they started being described as half goat. So it's usually either half man, half horse, or half man, half goat. And over time, the half man, half goat creatures are the ones that are more well known. And they are also synonymous with fauns of Roman mythology. This is a less lewd version of a satyr that I could find, but it gives you an idea of what a satyr is, although I'm sure that most of you do know what they are. I will tell you that they were not known as these comical, funny creatures like what you see in the Percy Jackson series. They were pretty brutal and pretty gross, to be quite honest. And another place that you will actually find a reference to what can also be translated to he goat is also in the Old Testament. In First Chronicles chapter 1 verses 38 to 42, it tells us about the sons of Ser. And Ser is a place or a person that you hear referred to quite a bit in the Old Testament. There are many passages that do speak about Ser. Now, Ser can also be translated as he goat. So here on Blue Letter Bible, if you look up the pronunciation, I'm saying it wrong, I guess, is actually Seir. And what it tells us that this means is it can mean hairy or shaggy. And that might make sense if you're thinking of the shaggy goat reference in Isaiah that I just read in some of the other translations. It's a patriarch of the Horites, the inhabitants of Edom, before the descendants of Esau, the Edomites, which is also interesting because Esau was also known to be quite hairy, quite shaggy. And if we continue down here farther, it tells us that Seir also means goat. So yes, there is some correlation between the name Seir and he goats or goat men, or could they possibly be the same thing as satyrs? Now here we have the word serim. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's how I'm going to say it. And it says here, serim are demons. Seir was the ordinary.
Real quick to point out right here, Seir is the singular. So this is the Serim, so multiple. And Seir, what she just read, is the singular. And it straight up says are demons. So let's keep going.
Hebrew word for he-goat, and it is not always clear what the word's original meaning might have been. But in early Jewish thought, represented by Targumim and possibly Third Baruch, along with translations of the Hebrew Bible such as the Peshitta and the Vulgate, the Serim were understood as demons. They are considered to be the lowest of all created beings. Serim are frequently compared with the Shadim of Hebrew tradition, along with satyrs of Greek mythology. Okay, so yes, there is a definite satyr connection. The fauns of Roman mythology and jinn of Arab culture. Thus, Isaiah 13:21 predicts, "But wild animals will lie down there, and its houses will be full of howling creatures. Their ostriches will live, and their goat demons, or sayer, will dance." And that is the one that was translated as satyrs or as wild goats in the other translations that I showed you. Here it also says, similarly, Isaiah 34:14 declares, "Wildcats shall meet with hyenas, goat demons shall call to each other, there too Lilith shall repose and find a place to rest." And that actually is something else to even look into, because I believe they're referred to as screech owls in many of the translations, but some of them, yes, actually use Lilith, which is from Hebrew mythology. In the Latin Vulgate translation of the Old Testament, Seir is translated as Pilosis.
Okay, I think this is good enough. Great video. Go definitely check out. Again, this is There's No Place Like Home. But I wanted to show that up front because we're a biblical channel, right? We're season 1 was more, we're talking more about the Bible going through the chapters, but we're still, even though we're talking about these quote unquote conspiracy theories, we're still believers. And one of the reasons, like we kind of already inferred and talked about before, is one of the main reasons why we believe in these things is because what we've seen in scripture. And right here, we're seeing the exact same thing, the satyrs being brought up. And that's something that is not new, right? Like this desire or this these experiences, whatever you want to call them, isn't something that's new. This is something that's been talked about, for thousands of years. And all these cultures, did they all just make up the same thing? Just, fantastically all just create the same creatures? I guess that's possible, but not very believable to me. So, anyways, great video there, but let's keep chugging. I got a quick little video here.
There are numerous alarming type beings do exist. To the point now, the doctor told me, and another doctor told me, they're at the point now that if we have seen it or read it in mythology, it's more than likely real.
That's what I'm thinking, man. Because, what is the dog man? It's like a werewolf. And they're caught on trail cams.
So how'd they come up with the first werewolf idea for comic or movie? How'd they come up with it?
I guess it exists, man, because I've seen it on trail cam.
How did they come up with the shimmering effect for the Predator with Schwarzenegger? How'd they come up with How come every single one of our bad guys or bad creatures in comic books and movies, how come their eyes glow red? Where'd that come from?
And I've seen that on trail cams too.
So real quick there, just a quick little video. And, so for them, they're like, oh, if we've seen it in mythology, it's real. I'm not full on that side, because I do think people come in and they create their own creatures. But where you see this kind of compounding or this similarities, like we were talking about with Bigfoot and with the Loch Ness Monster, the sea creatures, or these creatures that roam the places where people aren't, I definitely think that's true. And the point that he's bringing up about, comic books and stories and stuff, why are all these people talking about, why have we talked about vampires and werewolves and dragons throughout the human experience? This isn't, again, something new. This is something that's been talked about and on within the popular culture for thousands of years. And so that to me is a good hint that, there is some truth of what's going on here. And so I'm going to play this one first. I got to find it. Okay, this one. We're going to watch this one for a minute, and then we're going to move on. So this is Timothy Alberino. A lot of gravy here, but always eat the meat, leave the bone. Let's keep checking.
This is Timothy Alberino. I'm an author, researcher, and explorer. I have been researching in various fields for about 20 years. I have an interest in cryptids. I have an interest in megaliths, ancient civilizations, lost ancient civilizations, alternative history, ufology, Bigfoot, and Bible prophecy, and other interests as well. But those are probably the topics that I'm most known for. Giants, certainly. And as I said, I've been on this path for about 20 years, and it all began for me when I moved to Peru. When I was 18 years old, I dropped out of high school, and I moved to the Peruvian Amazon, the Amazon basin, where I spent some time living in various jungle cities. Some of the time living with some indigenous communities, civilized indigenous communities, and with various acquaintances in the Amazon. And I really developed a thirst for adventure and exploration during that period of time. And that's kind of where the journey began for me. So I moved back to the United States. I currently reside in Bozeman, Montana, and I've published a book called Birthright some years ago, and I've been on this, as I said, I've been on this track for a while now. So I have a wide range of research interests and have gone on various expeditions. I went and discovered with my colleague Anselm P. Robla, we discovered a lost city in the Andes Mountains some years ago, and I've done research into the Procus culture, and just I've been very busy for especially over the last decade. I've made some films. I was working for a while with author Steve Quayle, and we started a company called Gen 6 Productions, and we produced a few films in the True Legend series. Those films, primarily, the content of those films is primarily related to giants. And I've been working on my own TV series for a while.
I'm going to skip up.
That features some of the narrative that comes from First Enoch, especially the Ethiopic Enoch, but also the Greek fragments of Enoch. You have this narrative of the Watchers who descended and copulated with human women and progenerated a race of giants in the earth, and those giants were the Nephilim. That's the origin of the giants in the biblical narrative.
Hey, Vader,
and
can you pause it?
And
yeah, what's up, brother?
He said that he found a whole civilization or a whole ruin in the jungle. There's so many uncharted islands out there because the airspace we're not allowed to go over. We don't even know what else could be found out there. You know what I mean?
Well, and it's not, and we were kind of talking about this before, it's not just in the oceans, and you kind of talked about this before too. It's underground. We've seen even within, ruined cities and stuff, like we've seen, or even within the Navajo and other Native American cultures, we've seen, like, and we talked about this in with the underground worlds, dude. There are so many caves, there are so many places that that people have been, but there's even more places where people haven't been. And so for there to be,
we're not allowed.
Well, and something real quick that I want to add, if you look into a lot of like fantasy style entertainment, there's often these places, these cities where people go, where all these different creatures and, beings all come together. And we were kind of seeing that within what's her name, showing it in the Bible, right, where they found a place of rest, right? Because of course these monsters would be attacked, they would be slaughtered, they would be killed because of what they are, and so of course they would try to hide and seek refuge with one another. And I think it's interesting that it points out in that scripture that they were crying, right? They were crying to one another, almost like they were being attacked. They had, quote unquote, loved ones killed, and they were running away. What are your thoughts?
Right. Remember that movie in the 70s or the 80s, Dr. Livingstone's Island, where he had all them creatures that he had created? I mean, there actually could be something like that going on in islands that are uncharted, that we don't know about, that are hidden from mainstream traffic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and even, okay, let's say an island also underground. I know I kind of already said that.
Underground, I know. Yeah, underground, definitely.
Even better, on an island underground. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah. Yeah, like we don't, I mean, there's so much stuff that's hidden from us.
Dude, there's so
we
much
really
land.
Yeah, there's so much land, and they're crying that we're overpopulating the realm. There's no way. There's land that is, we can't even go on, because it's, reserves, it's sanctioned. I mean, there's places we're not even allowed, and there's lands we don't even know about, because we don't really have the ability to chart this realm. You know what I mean? The average person.
No, absolutely. And it, like, we were talking about islands, but just the land that we know of, there are so many places to hide things, for things to be hidden. You know what I mean?
Right.
Absolutely.
Africa is such a big continent that there's so much land there.
Hey, I like things in my own backyard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Really. That's what I'm saying. It's not.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's not far-fetched, All right. I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
No, totally.
Mythical or legendary creatures. Cryptids. Monsters. Unexplained beings. Whatever you want to call them. Every inhabited region of the earth, it seems, claims to be home to one, and most have bone-chilling tales associated with them. North America...
I want to bring that up real quick, because just what he said real quick. Isn't it weird how just, and I know I'm bringing this up again, but with the parallel of paranormal activity, normal activity, and cryptids, monsters, etc., they always seem like they have this darkness to them, this evilness to them, where you're talking about, blood and copulation of horrible ways, like you have all of this insanity surrounding these two things. And I feel like there's something more there. I feel like we'll explore that as we keep going.
Look how much land is there. I mean, there's South America. There's so much land down there that's undiscovered. Then there's Canada. Then there's above Canada. And then there's Africa. And then there's Siberia and all of the Russian continent over. You know what I mean? There's so much undiscovered. really uncharted
Explored,
land that
yeah.
we don't know about. I mean, they might have charted it.
And
we
when
haven't
they
really.
when they charted it, bro, they flew a plane over there. You're not gonna
They
see
didn't
the
even
cave
have-
entrances and the all the
Yeah.
different things. What, Marcia?
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but now they've got the also to where they've been looking at tunnels and caves actually through imaging from up above, and they sound wave or whatever down below, whatever they do to chart what kind of tunnels there.
Well, no, and not only that, right? We obviously showed how they have these huge machines that can make these huge tunnels, right?
Oh yeah.
Like we already talked about that. You know that they're running into stuff. They're coming. They're we just broke into a cave. Let's go into that cave. Oh, what are all these insane creatures? Like that to me isn't very far fetched.
Yeah.
And with all the reportings of the people that have gone down into those sections and they've seen these otherworldly creatures, you know what I mean?
Wasn't it some military people that
Mhm.
saw a redheaded giant with 2 sets of teeth and all that kind of stuff, right?
Over in Afghanistan, yeah. So
Somewhere.
all right, let's keep checking.
Is certainly no exception. In fact, some of the cryptids from this continent have achieved international fame and interest. Hello and welcome to Fire of Learning. I'm Justin. In this video, we will be going over many of the most famous mythical creatures of North America, reviewing the associated folklore and considering if, perhaps, some of the witnesses of these creatures may in fact be telling the truth. Thank you for joining us as we add another video to our campfire playlist. Now then, let's get to it. The pine lands of southern New Jersey stretch for over 7 counties, encompassing 1 million acres, a huge portion of the state's overall territory. It is believed by many residents that a dark, malicious creature inhabits this forest, often simply called the Leeds Devil or the Jersey Devil. The creature is often described as nothing short of a genuine monstrosity, said to have the head of either a goat or a horse hooves, large wings like those of a bat, and a forked tail. It is also said to have a body structure, that of a biped, which resembles a kangaroo, and emits a high-pitched screech which terrifies all who have the displeasure of encountering the beast. The origin tale of the Jersey Devil is quite murky, and in fact various contradicting tales exist. Most tales, however, attribute its origins to 1735 and the family of Jane Leeds. It was in that year, or the prior one, that Mother Leeds discovered that she was pregnant. Mother Leeds already had 12 children, however, and, not wishing for another one, cursed the child, saying that it would be the devil himself. Months later, on a dark and stormy night.
What, Marcia?
If she cursed him, she probably really did curse him. Curses and blessings are real.
Yeah, and it says, with the same mouth you bless a brother, you curse one.
Yep.
Where the wind howled and the trees violently shook, a baby boy was born. A perfectly normal baby boy. However, gradually, the seemingly normal child began to change, acquiring hideous features and a violent disposition along with them. Eventually, the boy was beyond recognition. As the child began to grow wings, the family knew not what to do. At last, when its wings were fully formed, it assaulted its family and escaped through the chimney, flying into the Pine Barrens where, after a purported failed attempt to exorcise the forest, it is said it remains to this day. By the late 1700s, the legend of a devil in the area was already popular. Reports would continue through the 1800s into the modern day. In 1820, Joseph Bonaparte, older brother of the former Emperor Napoleon, claimed to have seen it while hunting in the area. For the next century, the mysterious deaths of livestock were blamed on the creature. By the 1900s, Jersey Devil encounters were blowing up in the news, even in the year 1909, leading to schools closing and hunters roaming the forest looking for it. By 1960, people had had enough, and a reward was placed on the beast, dead or alive, by numerous parties, reaching up to $10,000.
Okay, real quick for that. There is so much lore. You could call it fiction if you want to. But there's so much lore of this type of thing, of bounty hunters or monster slayers. There's stories of Van Helsing, of forget his name, but this idea of these monster slayers has existed. And think about it. Now, were these people just completely fooled? Were they completely... Now, I'm not saying the story of how this creature came to existence therefore has to be true in order for this being to exist. I'm just pointing out why they offered $10,000 to kill this thing. Like, people were serious about it.
Remember the movie The Jersey Devil? Came out in, I think, the 90s?
I do not.
No.
Or the early 2000s, I don't remember that. But yeah, this thing looks like some type of... Something was made in a laboratory, doesn't it?
Chimera.
That backstory is definitely BS.
Well, do you think that people that have seen a creature or so, do you think they make the lore or the story after the fact, or to make it more
yeah, it could have been it could have been wolves that you were getting the cattle. I mean, this could be all fiction.
No, yeah, I won't say it could totally, utterly be all fiction, but at the same time...
And then the myth just grew.
The myth grew, right, I mean? People, and I've kind of talked about that with, the cultures and how, like, especially the occult cultures, right? Like, they're very different when they come to their art and the depiction and the explanation, etc. But the core beliefs are all the same. And so it's like, I think people were really seeing something. I think that something could have totally been happening. And, and definitely what he said, this was 1902, like the early 1900s, people are moving over, people are exploring more of their certain areas, right? It's being developed more and more and more. And so another thing that I think is interesting is the connection of witches and the woods. How the witches are always go out into the woods, right? And then these creatures... Right. The land ones are always in the woods. The monsters don't go into the woods at night. That's where the monsters are, right? Little Red Riding Hood, when she was, walking through the forest.
Yeah.
She was walking through the forest.
Through the woods. Yeah.
And back to like that little short clipping and with the Little Red Riding Hood is people say, oh, it's just a wolf. No, it was a walking upright, basically half man, half wolf. So
werewolf.
Yeah. So, but yeah, let's keep chugging.
Nothing was ever found, however, spare a few hoaxes. The creature thus remains a mystery. The simplest explanation is that the sightings are a combination of hoaxes and misidentifications encouraged by this legend, such as misidentifying sandhill cranes. Perhaps the creature is associated with Daniel Leeds, an unpopular figure from the era in colonial history at the time, often thought of as a devil. Perhaps it is a myth invented to scare children and keep people away from dangerous areas. Or perhaps there's more to the Pine Barrens of New Jersey than we realize. For the second creature on our list, we move north and west to eastern Canada and the Great Lakes region to discuss a far more ancient being first described by the native Algonquin tribes. Winter in northern North America is often a challenge, commonly a life-threatening one for the people who lived prior to industrialization. Long and brutal winters caused people to take desperate measures to survive, eating anything they could to make it to the next day. Anything. It is in such times that the Algonquin peoples believe the Wendigo hunts most vigorously. The Wendigo is a creature which takes many different forms. Tales differ from one Algonquin tribe to another, but each associate the Wendigo with traits and activities that the tribes faced and wished to eradicate: greed, selfishness, and cannibalism. In fact, the Wendigo is very much the personification of these things. Some tales state that the Wendigo is a creature which resembles a kind of decayed humanoid stag, whose innards have become visible due to this decay, though this depiction may have arisen from European influence and is more likely a modern invention. More traditionally, it is portrayed as a corpse, very thin and bony, to the point of being a skeleton covered in stretched skin. It has long, sharp claws, sometimes said to be made of ice. Its eyes are said to be either large and glowing or sunken into its skull. It is also, due to the nature of the curse it carries, generally very large, sometimes extremely large. The Wendigo is cursed with endless, extreme hunger, stalking the forests of the north, especially in winter, looking for its next meal. However, when it consumes an unfortunate soul, it grows in proportion to the size of its meal, and therefore, it can never be satiated. Yet the Wendigo is a very powerful being regardless, with immense strength, speed, and even an ability to manipulate winter weather. It is not invincible, however, and is vulnerable to things such as fire and silver. Some accounts state that people can become Wendigos by giving into temptation during starvation and resorting to cannibalism, or that the Wendigo is a spirit which causes suffering individuals to become cannibals themselves. Sometimes even, someone who is simply greedy and who flaunts their wealth or does anything which places the individual over the group are at risk of the curse. Indeed, the creature has lent its name to a purported psychological disorder, Wendigo psychosis, which causes people to crave human flesh. Most psychologists don't accept the existence of the disorder, however, as it has not been observed in modern times. Clendenin, West Virginia, November 12, 1966. 5 men digging a grave in a cemetery claim to see a strange, winged, man-like creature fly above them and then just above the tree line. It is an incident they cannot explain, and it is not the last. 3 days later, near Point Pleasant, West Virginia, a small town on the border of Ohio, 2 young couples are driving at night near the McClintock Wildlife Management Area when they observe something which stands out rather remarkably. At first, it is merely a pair of glowing red eyes, but as they progress along the road, they see something utterly terrifying. They claim to have seen the body to which the threatening eyes belonged, a hideous, man-sized, if not taller, winged creature. They attempt to drive away from it, but the creature, whatever it is, takes flight, taking off quite suddenly like a helicopter, and pursues them. Even as the driver reaches speeds of 100 miles per hour, the creature remains right on their tail, squeaking, they claimed, like a big mouse. When the couples reach town, they find that the creature is gone. They immediately call the police and give them their account. The first report of the Mothman. Incidentally, the same night, Newell Partridge, a contractor who lived 90 miles from Point Pleasant, reported seeing something eerily similar. On that night, he was watching television, when suddenly, the television began cutting out, and he heard a screeching noise coming from outside. He and his German Shepherd went out to investigate. When he spotted a figure, he shined his flashlight on it, revealing 2 glowing red eyes, which he said reflected the light like a bicycle reflector. Whatever it was, his dog, unfortunately, ran after it and was never seen again. This night was the first of many over the next year in which West Virginians and Southeast Ohioans would report seeing what had been termed the Mothman. The reports were all very similar: a winged creature with the body structure and size of a man and ominous, glowing red eyes. As the story spread, a crowd of people arrived in the area to see what they could find, many with hunting weapons, determined to catch any unnatural creature inhabiting the area. feeling of paranoia and fear for some, and excitement and adventure for others, gripped this small West Virginian town. One person even claimed to have found an egg, though it turned out to be a shot put, one of a number of hoaxes revealed during the excitement. Amid all this excitement, however, others favored a simpler, more natural explanation, and considered not giant mothmen, but rather giant birds, one the height of a man with red marks around its eyes, the sandhill crane. It would be easy to mistake the red spots around the eyes of a sandhill crane for the eyes themselves, ornithologists note, much like the white spots of killer whales. It is not a native inhabitant, but may have wandered outside of its normal migration route. However, the crane's eyes would not have glowed like many people who observed the Mothman said they did, and no bird watchers observed the species in the area in that time. Some critics therefore turned to another bird for explanation, the barred owl, an owl common throughout the region whose large eyes do reflect light shined into them with an ominous red glow. However, barred owls do not reach such sizes. Still, the explanation stuck as a viable hypothesis given the fact that people are unreliable at estimating size in such encounters, especially when terrified. Sightings in the area continued for over a year, until December 15th, 1967. On that date, tragedy struck the area. The Silver Bridge, crossing over the Ohio River, collapsed that afternoon, resulting in the deaths of over 46 people. After the incident, the sightings of the Mothman ceased in the area for years. Some believe that the Mothman had arrived to signal the impending doom, and had disappeared when the doom came. Sightings would pick up again years later as people claimed the Mothman had returned, and would spread, not only across the country, but across the world. Some claim that the Mothman is a consequence of the curse of the Native American chief Cornstalk. Whatever the Mothman was, and perhaps is, be it sandhill crane, barred owl, mysterious creature, or nothing at all, it has become an icon of the area, as well as a movie star, being the subject of a book that was adapted into a Hollywood film, The Mothman Prophecies. April 21st, 1977. Farm Street, Dover, Massachusetts. 17-year-old William Bartlett is driving at night with his two friends when he spots something unusual. It does not appear to be a deer, nor a raccoon, nor any other animal one might see in the region on a spring night, but rather something which he describes as a creature with large glowing orange eyes and tendril-like fingers, standing on a wall. He claims it was perhaps 4 feet tall, had a humanoid body structure, though a head shaped like a watermelon or an egg, and that it did not have a mouth or a nose. Bartlett returned home that night and informed his father of what he had seen. Neither were eager to attract attention to themselves, and so they did not release the story. The incident might have remained private forever, were others not to report seeing the exact same thing that very same night. 15-year-old John Baxter claimed to have observed an unusual creature while walking home on Miller Road. Baxter later produced a sketch which was eerily similar to the one Bartlett had produced for his father. The two reports were made independently of each other, and the two teens did not know each other. And then came a third report from Abby Brabham, who claimed to have seen a creature on Springdale Avenue the following night, very similar in description, albeit with green eyes instead of orange. From the reports, it seems that the creature followed a path in a straight line, in the vicinity of water. Bartlett's friends, who were also in the car, never reported seeing it, but Bartlett said that he would swear on a stack of Bibles that he saw something. He also seems to have never enjoyed the publicity gained from the incident, telling the Boston Globe in 2006 that the incident is embarrassing, and that he even dreads getting phone calls about it every Halloween. Apart from one incident the following year, which Bartlett says may have been a prank or a natural animal, none of these individuals, nor anyone else, has claimed to see the creature in the 43 years since. It stands out among cryptids for these reasons. It seems likely that there was something unusual running around the area on that night. It may have been a young horse, called a foal, or a moose calf, though moose are extremely rare in that area and no foals were reported missing. It may have been an escaped exotic animal like a slender loris. None were reported to have escaped in the area, but there is an illegal exotic pet trade. It may have been an extraterrestrial, though why would an advanced being capable of interstellar travel come to Earth simply to run around naked in the woods of Massachusetts? It could very well have been a prank, or it could be something we have yet to understand. The area is, after all, known for strange incidents. The spring of 1955.
Hey Vader, can you pause it?
Yeah.
You remember the movie Wrong Turn in Virginia? It was based in Virginia. It was a horror movie, Wrong Turn.
Yeah.
This couple made a wrong turn, and these cannibals and these interbreeding people living in the deep forest of Virginia were torturing them, trying to kill them. Yeah, that kind of, and that was based on a true story too. But these kind of things could be like monsters from interbreeding too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is totally an element to it, and I think if that
I don't know about
going
the wings though. I mean, the wings are a little bit of a stretch, but I'm thinking some of these instances could, like the Mothman and the other little gray alien, could be interdimensional beings popping in the realm for a little bit, for a night.
Well, and this is okay. This is an interesting part. Like what you're bringing up, I think is like parallel with another a thought that I want to kind of express. Isn't it interesting how they're talking about these things? Like we've been going for a little bit, but there's already 4 things on there, right? We're about to talk about a new one. Like, what is it about the human condition? If we're saying this is all made up, why are we going to such lengths? Why are so many people going along with it? Now, okay, you know what I mean? It's just like, to me, there's too much of it. There's too much of it happening and people saying, no, I really saw this. Now, I get that they could be mistaken, etc. Like the way that, humans' minds work, we can imagine. Like, I'm not just putting that all aside. I just think it's so interesting that you have, like that last example, you have all of these accounts of this similar creature on the same night, and seemingly those were all from children. That's kind of weird, right? Like, did they conspire all together to make, it's just weird.
That's what I was saying. It could be some type of interdimensional being that got into the realm and then left the realm, never to be seen again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Who knows, right?
And it could be some type of child predator. That's why children had seen it. And the dog got killed in the one episode. You know what I mean? With the moth, I think it was the Mothman. But like I said, and this is really creepy. I'm home alone. It's just me and the dogs. I'm kind of getting creeped out a little bit by it. Kind of wish my wife was here.
Little scaredy cat. Ooh.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep checking.
It's like being around a campfire.
Yeah.
Telling creepy stories.
Totally. All right, let's keep checking.
5. Loveland, Ohio, 20 miles from Cincinnati. A businessman is driving home along an unknown road in a marshy area late at night when he is stopped by the sight of something absolutely bizarre. Stories differ as to what exactly was seen and how events unfolded, but one account holds that he stopped his car to observe 3 figures, about 3 to 4 feet tall, conversing with each other. Though they stood upright on 2 legs, they were not people. He claimed that they had leathery skin and the faces of frogs. After a few moments, one of the creatures, according to one account, produced an instrument which was described as a wand, which produced sparks. The tool frightened the businessman and he fled the area before anything happened. This was the first sighting of the Loveland Frogmen. The first, but not the last. That same year, there was an incident where a woman, Darwin Johnson, swimming in the nearby Ohio River, claimed to have been grabbed by something in the water. The creature, whatever it was violent and attempted to drag her under the water. She barely broke free, but did manage to, and when she came ashore, found a number of cuts and a green stain on her leg the shape of a palm print. Whatever was responsible was not cited, however, and indeed, the next known sighting of the Loveland Frogmen would not occur for over 15 years. On March 3rd, 1972, police officer Ray Shockey was driving around an area close by, Riverside Drive near the Little Miami River, around 1 a.m. when he too noticed something unusual. An unknown creature, he claimed, ran past his car. Believing it to be a dog, he stopped his car to get out and look for it. But what he saw was no dog. Rather, it was a lizard-like creature, which upon being seen stood erect. It then jumped over the guardrail and made its way down to the river. Shocky.
Oops. All right, so we got more to share. I just want to kind of go through this real quick and show the map. And basically, the map gets, let me just skip through it a little bit. I should have wrote down the time where it shows.
Yeah, the lizard man the frog man's crazy too, and there could be some type of lizard man living in a river or pond or whatever.
I want to see that the last map that it shows. Yes, it looks like it's doing the Sasquatch.
Hey, what about the abominable snowman? Isn't it called a Yeti?
Yeti, abominable snowman, right? Sasquatch. It's all a very similar described creature, and the behavior is very similarly described. Let's keep going.
That foot looks fake.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm just trying to show them the very last map that it shows. I should have totally wrote down the time in which it showed it.
There it is. There it is.
No, that's all the places that it's shown. I think I did find it.
Yeah, go back.
Right here. So
there it is.
And then it showed that other map is here, all around the world of these things, the chupacabra, right? And so my kind of thought is like, this is just an example of North America, kind of this side, right? But these type of creatures, these types of tales are in towns and villages and everything. Now, are some of them hoax? Probably. Are some of them are mishaps, like someone saw something and they imagined something different? Yeah, totally. But I also believe some of these are real, and just from the sheer number of them.
Hey, what's that one they do at Christmas time in Europe?
Krampus?
The one that snatches the Krampus. Yeah, that's got to be something.
Yeah,
that actually probably happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very similar. Okay, I'm gonna get, because I want to show all y'all. So I'm gonna
and this is just our continent. This is just our continent they're talking about. There's probably stories like this in Europe, all over the place too. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
The Skinwalker versus the Wendigo.
So much land.
What?
There's so much land.
Yeah, absolutely.
According to Navajo folklore, skinwalkers wear animal skins and possess abilities, such as the ability to move at incredible speeds or to read minds. And many people believe that encountering one can bring about serious harm or death. However, skinwalkers are taboo in Navajo culture and is not widely discussed. The Wendigo is a creature from Algonquian folklore, primarily found in the northern forests of the United States and Canada. It is a tall, thin, emaciated humanoid creature with a deer skull for a head, razor-sharp teeth, and glowing eyes. The Wendigo is a cannibalistic monster that preys on humans. People who have resorted to cannibalism in order to survive in the wilderness can become possessed by the Wendigo spirit and transform into the creature. Which one would you prefer transforming into? The Skinwalker versus...
Yeah, well, guys, which one do you want to be?
oh. Let me pick. Yeah.
Okay, I think this, we might go a little over because that goes right along with that. This kind of does too. Okay, let's go over here. Okay. All right, so 10 modern encounters with mythical creatures. The Icelandic monster, this was the, like, Viking worm or whatever. See, there's so many pixies, fairies. It's just everywhere. Let's go back up. Dude, yeah, that's super weird because that's like you're like, oh, it's a snake, but then it's an ice. It's like, wait, those are cold-blooded animals. They need to stay warm or they die. What were you gonna say, Kyle?
Yeah, I was just saying it's just weird. They're swimming upstream. I mean, people would probably say it's like a patch of logs that are clustered together and moving because of the current, and I'm sure there's an explanation for it, but. Yeah, to me, that looked natural, like organic movement, not a cluster of sticks.
Yeah, it also says here, it says that, where'd it go? Analyzed the video and using screen captures to prove that the apparent moving body was actually stationary in the water and was probably nothing more than an ice fishing net or piece of cloth.
Maybe it was.
How is it just stuck if it's moving? It's not just staying in the same place, it's literally moving.
Yeah, the head of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not stationary.
In the cemetery, it looks like a head. That looks like a head.
Oh,
like
yeah.
The cemetery. Yeah.
That's supposed to be a snake?
Exactly, yeah.
Well, like I was saying, if it was a snake, it would be a cold-blooded creature which would die in the cold. 100%.
Oh, all right.
So
It's certainly swimming like a crocodile or a snake, which, again, cold-blooded.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's watch one more of these, and then. But yeah, as you saw, there's so many examples of these, of these creatures, of these things.
You got a seal on a rock down there? That thing. Yeah. That's a weird looking seal, man. Are you filming this? Yeah. How do you where's the zoom on this? Yeah, it's that button. Oh, there. I got it. It's a seal, man. What is that? Oh my God! What is that?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. That looked like a fake, and it seemed like they were.
Yeah, dude's pointing the camera at his face over and over again, getting reaction.
Yeah, no, if you saw something crazy, you would be trying to get that in picture camera frame as soon as possible. Not being like,
or
hey,
just not get it at all and just be looking at it with your eyes like most people do, where they're just staring at it and they forget to record it.
No, yeah, exactly. They're so like mind boggled.
Yep.
But yeah, okay, let's keep chugging. Just bringing them to some of these. Okay, let's do that order. Okay, we'll get that to that.
Hey, welcome to a new video. Mythical creatures have been the subject of folklore and legends for centuries. But what if these fantastic beings are more than just fairy tales? What if, hidden in undiscovered corners of the earth, there's evidence of their existence? As the saying goes, there's always some truth to a myth. Are you new to this channel? Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And before we... During a scenic windows a creature resembling Bigfoot, and it was traversing the rugged terrain. Bigfoot is always described as a large, hairy, ape-like creature, said to inhabit the forests of North America, especially in the Pacific Northwest. The creature is often depicted as standing upright on two legs, and reaching a height of about 7 to 10 feet tall. According to many people in the comments, this could be one of the most credible Bigfoot sightings ever captured on camera. The origin of the Bigfoot legend can be traced back to a newspaper article from the 1950s in the American Humboldt Times. The article told of the discovery of large footprints by California loggers. Various theories have been proposed to explain the origin of this creature in the video. Some suggest it could possibly be a misidentification of a known animal, such as a bear or a large primate. Number 29. The Paukai is a monstrous bird in the Maori mythology. It's often associated with the Haas eagle, an extinct species of eagle native to the South Island of New Zealand. The Paukai is described as a giant bird of prey, capable of hunting and eating even humans. It was said to possess sharp claws and beaks, able to carry away small children and livestock. They were known for their ability to dive from the sky and snatch their prey with great speed and force. The Haas eagle was a massive predator that could reach a wingspan of up to 10 feet. It's believed to have preyed on large flightless birds such as the moa, which could weigh up to 550 pounds. The extinction of the Haas eagle is thought to have occurred around 1400, likely due to the depletion of its primary food source, the moa. Number 28. Fairies are mythical creatures that have been part of folklore and legends for centuries. They're often depicted as magical beings resembling humans, but with supernatural powers and attributes. They come in various sizes and temperaments. One of the greatest debates of the 20th century was sparked by a sensational headline: Fairies Photographed. This intriguing story persisted for 60 years. In December 1920, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle published the now world-famous photographs of the Cottingley fairies. But who actually took them? It all began on a summer day in July 1917, when 9-year-old Frances told her mother that she had seen fairies and even had photographic evidence to support her claims. In his writings, Conan Doyle expressed his belief in the existence of these fairies, stating that their recognition would compel the materialistic mindset of the 20th century to acknowledge the enchantment and mystery that permeate life. Number 27. The Kwande tribe, a Bantu-speaking people, primarily reside in the northwest of present-day Zambia, though some can also be found in the Democratic Republic of Congo. As these tribe members go on their daily activities, they carry an amulet for protection. This amulet is believed to ward off rare bat-like flying creatures, locally known as Kangamato. The term Kangamato roughly translates to overturner of boats. Described as a huge lizard with leathery wings, a long tooth-like beak, and resembling a very large bat. The Kangamato is said to feed on meat. In 1958, science journalist Maurice Burton acknowledged the numerous reports of pterodactyl-like creatures in various parts of Africa. And in 1923, Frank Mellon published a book called In Witchbound Africa, inspired by his encounters with Kwande tribe members and the intriguing stories they shared. The Kwande tribe members were reluctant to lead him to the location of the Kangamato. Driven by a strong desire to see firsthand what the indigenous population had already seen, he decided to show them a photo of a pterodactyl. To his surprise, the Kwande tribe members collectively agreed on the remarkable resemblance of the creature in the photo to the Kangamato. Number 26. In 1980, the Archaeological Association of Argos or Astyko made a remarkable discovery near Volos, Greece. They unearthed not one, but 3 centaur graves, located about 5 miles northeast of Volos. These centaur skeletons shed light on the ancient legends and myths surrounding these mythical creatures. Centaurs are mythical beings that have held a prominent place in Greek mythology. They are depicted as creatures with the upper body of a human and lower body of a horse. These half-human, half-horse beings were said to inhabit the mountains and forests of Thessaly in Greece. These half-human, half-horse beings were said to inhabit the mountains and forests of Thessaly in Greece. They were also often portrayed as primitive and wild, living in tribes and making their homes in caves. Additionally, they were known for hunting wild animals and arming themselves with stones and branches from trees. According to myth, centaurs, the offspring of King Aeson, mated with the cloud nymph Nephele, created by Zeus in the image of Hera. From this union, the birth of the centaurs occurred, who were then nursed by the daughters of the immortal centaur Chiron on Mount Pelion. Number 24. On the mainland of Denmark, a remarkable discovery was made at Heroldsgård, a skeleton believed to be that of a mermaid. Unearthed by a farmer while plowing his field, this find captivated the imagination of many. The mermaid was first exhibited at the Danish National Museum in Copenhagen in 2012, accompanied by a detailed description. According to this description, the mermaid was about 18 years old and adorned with long, thick hair and sharp fangs. Found alongside the skeleton was a pouch containing intriguing items, such as a shark tooth, a snake's tail, a mussel shell, and a flower. The species of the mermaid was purportedly identified as a Hydronymphus pesci, believed to have gone extinct in the late 17th century. Despite a missing left hand, the skeleton was remarkably complete. The discovery of this mermaid species in Europe is particularly rare, as it's believed to belong to the Asian lineage of mermaids. It's important to note that the mermaid skeleton is distinct from the Heroldsgård woman, a well-preserved bog body of a woman dating back to around 490 BCE, found in 1835. Number 23. In a remote area of the Scottish Highlands, archaeologists found what appears to be an ancient fossil of a unicorn. Although the spiral horn is missing or deliberately removed in some fossils, the overall condition of the specimens seems relatively intact. The exact location.
I'm just saying, in this last picture, it totally just looks like a seashell. I'm just saying, like it got glued on, but I could be wrong.
Like a little conch shell? Yeah, it does look like it.
In some fossils,
Now, there's
the
a
overall
reference
condition of
to
the specimen.
unicorns in the Bible. There's a reference to unicorns in the Bible.
I'm not
You know
saying
that, right?
I'm not saying unicorns aren't real. I'm just saying that looks like a like a shell to me. I'm not saying this picture makes all unicorns not real, if that makes sense.
All right, yeah. It does look like that.
Specimen seems relatively intact. The exact location of the discovery has not been disclosed yet, as further excavations are planned in the area to gather more info. Since ancient times, the unicorn has been described as a legendary creature with a single large spiral horn protruding from its skull. Images of unicorns can be found in inscriptions from the Indus Valley civilization, and are mentioned in accounts of ancient Greek natural history. Additionally, the Bible mentions an animal called the ram, which some translations interpret as a unicorn. The myth of unicorns has a rich and varied history, spanning various cultures and epochs. Early accounts describe unicorns as fierce, swift, and impossible to capture, with a magical horn capable of curing numerous ailments. Over time, the unicorn acquired additional meanings as a symbol of purity, protection, and medieval chivalry. Number 22. A woman named Kay Borlaeus participated in the Trail 100
Okay, so we've only gone through a quarter of this, guys. And, it's 30, but this is just this many more examples of these things, these sightings, these things being found. Now, am I saying they're all real? No. Am I saying some of them are probably fake? Probably. It's again, the pure amount of these sightings that is just so interesting. And here, another top 10, we probably already, talked about these. But again, they're so prevalent within the community, like within the cultures of every culture, around the world. So, all right, let's play this one, and then we're gonna kind of bring it home before the stream is over.
Extinct animals scientists are close to reviving. Firstly, the woolly mammoth. It was believed to have gone extinct 25,000 years ago, but scientists discovered hundreds that just died recently. So they're planning to put its DNA inside African elephants, and they expect to bring them back in the next 5 years. Next, dodo birds were hunted to extinction 400 years ago, but a preserved head was recently discovered. By mixing that DNA with a maned pigeon, dodo birds should be coming back in 15 years. Finally, expect to see saber-toothed tigers outside soon, because scientists discovered DNA preserved in tar pits, and they plan to combine it with African lions. So this 10-inch tooth beast should be coming back in 10 years. Extinct.
Okay, I think that's like literally perfect to lead into the last few things I want to talk about. Because it's like everyone can say, oh, these are just fake things. Yeah, they're just, people have imaginations that they mix creatures and that they, that these even things even really exist. But this is a plethora of examples that we're going to go through. The fact that they can genetically add things to things, it's literally insane. Let's watch this video.
In a world where science constantly pushes the boundaries of what is possible, a groundbreaking discovery emerged, captivating the imaginations of researchers and innovators alike. It all began when scientists set their sights on the remarkable properties of spider silk, a material known for its unparalleled strength, elasticity, and biocompatibility. Yet, the elusive nature of spiders posed a significant challenge, as their cannibalistic tendencies hindered large-scale silk production. Undeterred, scientists embarked on a quest to find an alternative method, a way to harness the remarkable qualities of spider silk without relying on spiders themselves. And so, they turned to the captivating realm of genetic engineering. It was the year 2000 when a team of brilliant minds made an extraordinary breakthrough. Through painstaking efforts, they successfully introduced spider silk genes into the genome of goats, weaving the silk-producing potential right into their genetic fabric. It was a remarkable fusion of nature and science, the birth of transgenic goats capable of producing spider silk proteins in their milk. But how did they achieve such a marvel? The process began with careful identification and isolation of the specific spider silk genes responsible for silk production. These genes, like tiny threads of possibility, were then delicately woven into the fertilized embryos of goats. Utilizing cutting-edge genetic engineering techniques, such as viral vectors or gene gun technology, the spider silk genes found their home within the developing goat embryos. With anticipation and hope, these genetically modified embryos were implanted into surrogate goats, a bridge between two worlds. These surrogate mothers carried the transgenic offspring, their bellies burgeoning with the promise of a revolutionary endeavor. And as the goats grew and matured, nature's marvel unfolded. Their milk, a precious elixir of sustenance, contained the very essence of spider silk proteins. It was a moment of triumph when the first drops of spider silk-infused milk were collected from these extraordinary goats. The milk, akin to liquid gold, held within it the key to a multitude of industrial applications. Scientists meticulously processed and purified the milk, extracting the spider silk proteins with care and precision. The possibilities seemed endless. Textile manufacturers reveled in the prospect of lightweight, yet incredibly strong fabrics. Industries such as aerospace, military, and high-performance sports could benefit from the unparalleled strength and durability of spider silk textiles. Biomedical researchers, too, saw a future brimming with possibilities. Spider silk proteins showcased excellent biocompatibility, making them invaluable for tissue engineering, wound healing, and drug delivery systems. From artificial tendons and ligaments to scaffolds for tissue regeneration, the potential to transform lives and reshape medicine was within reach. Material scientists, not to be left behind, envisioned a world where spider silk revolutionized their field. They
I think you're muted.
Oh, I totally was. Yeah, so this is literally, I know it's an AI voice, an AI generated, but what my point is you can go look this up. Go look it up. They did create goats that have spider silk in their milk, and they extract that silk through their milk. This is something that's been going on for a minute. Oh my gosh, I'm not even gonna have time. There's so much. I'm gonna go ahead and bust those three out. Let's check this one out, and then we will end. Let's check these two out, and then we'll end with that.
Oh.
Pretty freaking weird, man. I'm even a bit. Kind of don't.
That's just all wrong. That's all wrong.
Yeah, I can't even look at that, dude. That's
what is it?
But I don't know. It looks kind of like a frog, man.
Yeah, exactly. Almost like what we were discussing earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, something might have got out of a lab, man.
Yeah.
That looks like, I know, that's crazy.
Well, these are people taking pictures of it, so maybe they're like, "Look, this is what they're doing here," you know. And then people are like, "Oh, it's
Yeah,
so
who
easy to
knows
say
what
it's
they're
fake,
doing
it's
in
not
that
real."
lab?
Yeah,
They
more
could
of
have
this.
labs in Virginia and all those places where those creatures were seen. We don't know, in the deep jungle, you know what I mean? Or the deep woods. Look at that.
Or someone's backyard.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so those are a little bit more extreme examples, but just to show you, like, this is what they're telling us about. This is what you can Google, the spider goat, and this right here, glow in the dark trees could someday replace city lights. Now, these are just plants, and you know, these aren't, but they have glow in the dark dogs. They just look into it. I highly suggest. But what they're basically doing is they're mixing the genetics of multiple creatures, you know, algae, the bioluminescent algae, with our trees, and it's like, oh, it's so harmless, right? But it's like we don't know the consequences of these actions, of these things. Actually, we kind of do. We can read it in scripture. We can see it in the so-called mythologies of the world, where this stuff gets out of hand very quickly. And another thing I want to state is, even if all of the information from the past was completely destroyed, in the book of Enoch it says that men were striving to learn these things. So this was something that men were already thinking about, right? They just got it spoiled for them. And we know what men's hearts are full of, right? So,
well, it said before post-flood that everything on earth it was plants, it was beasts, it was people, it was everything. And you just going through the whole thing. Even trees now are going to be glow in the dark.
Yeah. And so, like, this is again something that's real, something you can look up. We had real quickly. We had the video of them finding the mammoths and the saber-toothed tigers, and them talking about bringing those things back to life. I'm just saying, if they're able to do some of these things, then it's not too hard to deny that they can do more things. And then backing up what we looked about when we talked about Nephilim and giants and mythological creatures, that this idea, these things have been on people's minds for a long time. This is no longer, like, this isn't something new. This isn't something that just came along in the recent centuries. These ideas, these creatures have been talked about for hundreds, thousands of years. So, sweet. So,
wait a minute. Are you an old Earth or a young Earth?
I'm a young Earth.
You said hundreds of thousands of years.
No, hundreds and thousands of years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyways, just to say, to me it's similar, not parallel, because we can, actually work these facts out when it comes to the circle of the earth, biblical cosmology, the shape of the earth, etc. We can work those things out. But what's interesting, like the connection I'm making here, is the plethora, the preponderance of evidence that is really out there. Now, is there a preponderance of evidence per se for each of these accounts? No, but there are in a cultural way, as well as just the amount of them, right? There's so many from all around the world. Similar stories, different creatures, different stories, different creatures. It's totally a mixed bag. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed that. I definitely did. We are coming up to our 2 hours, so let's go ahead and we'll say our goodbyes, and we'll get out of here. Real quick before we do say our goodbyes, is there anyone interested right here on the panel tonight that's interested in doing the debate review tonight? Would you rather do it tomorrow, or would you rather schedule it for next week? Just real quickly.
If you want to butt up against Sean going live in 30 minutes.
Oh, okay, then no. So maybe we'll see. Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe next Friday. Maybe Friday night.
Okay,
at
maybe
around
tomorrow.
11.
Maybe Friday.
I can't do tomorrow. I might be able to do Friday. I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. We'll push it to Friday. I'm cool with that. All right, sweet. All right, so let's say our goodbyes and we'll get out of here. We'll have you up first, Frankie B. If you'd like to, sir, say your goodbyes.
All right, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Yeah, that was a good conversation tonight. A lot of stuff we went over. A lot of good channels we found. That Shelly's channel. Questioning the narrative. That's a good channel. She's got a lot of good stuff. Real good food. And all the creepy horror things. Thanks, guys. I'm gonna have a hard time sleeping tonight, but I got the dogs to protect me, so I'm good.
Yeah. And greater is who is in us than is who is in the world. You know what I mean? So.
Yes, sir. All right. So love everybody. Have a great week and stay cool. Stay hydrated. And dig deep. Don't forget, dig deep.
Absolutely.
Tell them, Marsha, dig deep.
All right, we'll jump over to our sister, Marsha.
Night, everybody. Yeah, this was nothing new to me, but I did have something about, I've heard about the goats and the spider milk, right? And how it was going to be this fantastic stuff. Have you heard anything come from that?
No, but then again...
Have you heard anything being made of that?
No, but then again, would they openly tell us that information? Who knows? Maybe they would. Maybe they found a better way to do it and they just can't talk about it. And so maybe that was just the baby step into what they were actually trying to achieve. Who knows? But it's definitely, the fact that they're able to genetically manipulate stuff in any degree, we have to believe in, right? Because we know that they did that before. We know that they were creating creatures that were abominations, right? And so to me, if they did it then, they're doing it now. And, we didn't even get into all the accounts of the underground military bases, of the gorilla men, of the, there's so many out there. We skimmed the surface in these 2 hours of all the different creatures out there. So,
yeah. But anyway, good night, everybody. And I hope you enjoyed yourselves.
Absolutely. Let's jump over to Robert. What's your thoughts, brother? Goodbye.
Yep. I think I gotta go back and look at that Nordic frog baby.
Yeah.
That was creepy looking thing.
That was.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's so hard, right? Because they really do have such good, what is that called? Practical effects, right? Where they can make these puppets and things look so real. And so it's in my brain, it's I'm really, my skeptical side is I believe that they would do that stuff, but am I really looking at something that looks like that is real, living, that? You would obviously, if I saw that in real life, I would be freaked out. You know what I mean? If I could,
I know. The way the technology is today, I know it's anything that comes out, it's it could look so real, but it could be so fake.
Yeah.
And you don't know because they do such a great job at it.
If you jive with Elon Musk, you would know that it is real because it looks so fake, right?
Kind of looks like Beetlejuice. You ever see Beetlejuice from Howard Stern? Little black guy.
Yeah.
Christina, that's my daughter.
Yeah, Beetlejuice was online. I don't know if she's still there.
Different Beetlejuice that he's talking about.
Yeah, Beetlejuice from Howard Stern.
He's talking about
got
the
bulging eyes.
The black guy. No. Anyways, sweet. We'll jump over to. Oh, sorry, Robert. We'll jump over to Kyle.
Yeah, that was definitely an interesting episode. I think the frog baby man was really, really weird. I don't know what the other thing was either. You know, and there's you know, dozens of these other creatures, these uh, ones that seem to be in underground bases, and other ones that seem to be, as someone mentioned in the chat, floating, you know, ashore in our oceans from time to time, or just randomly dug up. All I can say is whether or not we in this video were witnessing anything real, we should expect that to actually be the reality regardless. Like there's a reason every ancient culture spoke about these things. There's a reason that the Bible is, you know, prolifically speaking about these things, is because they are real and they're going to come back with like a vengeance, with more power than they have had in thousands of years probably. So it's going to be an interesting time, and we should be prepared for that.
Yeah, absolutely. That it's a possibility, and it's something, like you said, that's happened before, and we know it's going to happen again. And so, you know, having your feelers out to say, oh, they're getting closer, you know, like it's at least what they're showing. I think it is very important, and it ties all into the Nephilim and the giants, right? It ties into the giant trees. These are all topics that tie into together because it's a part of an agenda. So sweet. Well, thanks for all being here, guys. Thank you to all those in the live chat. All the likes, the shares, the comments, the subscriptions. It's really awesome. We're up to 1195, so shout out to all the new recent subscribers. We very much so appreciate it. And thank you for all the love and support on Lighthouse. And we'll call it a stream. Tomorrow we have the Book of Enoch Part 4. And that's reading is at 4 p.m. Eastern. So if you're interested in hearing the Book of Enoch read to you by yours truly, then check that out. But yeah, until next time, guys, remember that Abba loved you first. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Dig Deep by Born Out of Time. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Yeah.
Conceal a mystery. You give us the honor to search a matter.